You can stop that now. This is thank you. This is show 130. We have a mystery guest today, but before we get to the mystery guest, Agatha Christie, right? Right. There was a mistake. What a mistake to make, as you would say, right? These kids are at it again. There was an incorrect message sent via your organization that the Littleton Triathlon, which I will not be entering, right? Well, it's not July 15th, it's July 25th, as far as we know, right, Gino?
Correct.
Is this subject to change?
No.
Like severe weather?
Because I'm not going to help if they change the date.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. Gino's not going to help if they change the date. Now, I would like to, did I mention it's show 130?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. We have the audience coming back in. Why does the audience look so upset? I haven't done anything yet. Jeez, not easy. It's a rough crowd, rough crowd. So, and now Gino, you remember Gino, folks. He will be he'll be taking over for a while, but just this show, bucko. And when you're finished, bring it back to me, pal.
Okay, bucko.
Don't you bucko me, buddy. All right, so take it away. That's with what? 1 F, 2 T, 6 Z's, and 1 R? Fratelloni?
2 T and 2 L.
It ends in an E.
Right. But I'm from Venice, so I'm not a resident here. I'm here for a very few months. Then I leave again.
That's what you think, alien. All right, take it away, Gino.
All right. You know that I have my own show up in Acton TV station, and this young lady came, and I was hoping that the person that I was hoping to come in couldn't make it, so I had to make other arrangements. She came and she says, "Can you help me?" I says, "Why?" I want to tell a story about marijuana, but I will not give my name because she doesn't want to be harassed. And I said to her, not to worry. The question is, you know that marijuana is legal, okay? So the question is, you're just concerned the marijuana of yesterday, I'm talking about 50 years ago, it was very, very mild, like 10%. So, you know, like everybody probably used it. I mean, if my father knew that I was using something, he would have killed me. But nevertheless, that's different. I always obeyed to my father because he meant well. And what I'm trying to do is, this young lady liked to tell the story. And I don't even know her name because she came as a mistress, we call a mistress, what you call guest on TV. And she just wanted to tell the story. So she wants to make sure that the kids understand the difference between 50 years and right now, the 2021. The marijuana is much, much stronger, like 80%. So
85, not 8.
Well, she doesn't care with the kids, even smoking is no good for you. But if people like to smoke, that's fine. Marijuana is legal in Massachusetts, but eventually, maybe someday, maybe the federal will say they want to smoke marijuana, but we will make sure that it's going to be mild, so it will not hurt anybody. So that's why I have her here. So, and I said to her, you tell me a story why you want to eliminate what do you call it, from the minimum of 10% to 85. You wanted to make sure that it goes back to 10%, then she won't care if anybody smoke.
THC.
Are you putting up slides or not?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yep.
So now I'll let her speak, and she knows that marijuana is legal, so I wanted to make sure it's just, this is Gina. I just want to make sure she's telling a story, but it's nothing to do what the people do, okay? So no offense to anybody. Tell me the story, young lady.
So the story is, we legalized medical marijuana back in 2012, and then in 2016 we legalized recreational marijuana here in Massachusetts. At the time we legalized 10 years ago for medical marijuana, the flower was about 10% THC, which is the psychoactive ingredient and the addictive ingredient in marijuana. And since that time, we now have what's called concentrates. So those are dabs, wax, shatter. I have some slides that I can show you what that looks like. But let me just say, what What they are is they're a much higher concentrate of THC, so they're anywhere from 60 to 90% plus.
Ooh, wow.
So it's a lot more dangerous for young people, especially for the developing brain, because the brain is still developing up through the age of 25.
Wow.
And so THC is very damaging to the brain, and so a higher THC potency is much more damaging to the brain, and it can cause things like psychosis, which is a serious can lead to a serious mental illness such as schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. Also, it raises the increase of developing depression later in life, and also it raises the increase, especially if kids are using it, THC daily before the age of 17. There's a studies show a 7-fold increase in suicide ideation. And they're finding out in Colorado, which legalized marijuana before we did here in Massachusetts, that there is an increase in suicides. Actually, there's an increase in suicides all over the country, not just here or there, but they're finding that when they do autopsies and they look at the toxicology reports, that THC is the #1 ingredient the #1 substance found on the toxicology reports in young people dying by suicide between the ages of 10 and 25 out in Colorado.
10?
As young as 10, yeah.
Wow.
And so this is a real serious problem, and they're finding in Colorado as well now as Massachusetts, is that there's a shift in use away from flower and to these high power or high THC concentrates. And as I mentioned, I can just show you.
Are they manufactured?
Yes. So people will say that marijuana is natural, but these products are not natural. So this is what people normally think of. A joint is what they think of when they think of marijuana. But now, this is what's called wax, marijuana wax. So this would have very high potency, like 80 to 90% THC. These are products available for sale currently today in Massachusetts. I pulled them off websites from marijuana retail outlets right here, right now in Massachusetts.
What do they put it in?
They put it in a dab rig. I'll show you what picture of that looks like. So this is called shatter. And this is what a marijuana dab rig looks like. So they light it, or they heat it to a very high temperature, and then they inhale it. So this is very different than what people normally think of when they think of marijuana. They think of a joint from 50 years ago. And at the time when these were more popular 50 years ago, the THC rate was like 2 to 5%. And now we're talking about
95.
As much as 95.
They have it in, I saw yesterday, the day before, they're going to put it, the guy had it in an ice cream.
Yes. Ice cream, cookies. I brought an example of these candies are really appealing to young people. So one piece of candy is 5 THC milligrams, or THC 5. But if you eat the whole bag, it's 100. Because who eats one? I mean, I don't know about you, but these look pretty good to me. I probably wouldn't just eat one.
I couldn't understand.
And kids are also finding them. Sometimes it's their parents, and they find them, and it looks like candy.
And they use it.
And they use it. Yeah, they eat it, and they end up in the emergency room, very sick, basically. So it's very concerning. So we're trying to get some legislation passed in Massachusetts, and I know Colorado was actually working on a bill as well, and it just passed, I think yesterday it was, or the day before, and their governor signed it, and it was almost unanimous in their House and Senate to get it passed to try to regulate it better. So what they're going to do in Colorado, they're going to set up a commission that's going to evaluate it over the next year and look at all the scientific studies, and then make a recommendation as to what THC level to put it at. I'm working with some other people, and we have done a lot of research already, and right now what they're finding with the scientific studies is there's no health benefits for anything above 10% THC. So the bill right now that's currently at the Massachusetts State House is for a THC potency of 10%.
Yeah.
There's also some other bills that we're also in favor of. So warning labels on the packaging that says that it can cause serious mental illness, including psychosis. Also, we're trying to have flavors eliminated, just like in the state of Massachusetts, nicotine vape flavors were, there was legislation passed, I think, a year and a half ago to not allow flavored vapes anymore, nicotine vapes, because it's really attractive to kids and really fun flavors. And that they say when you interview kids or young people, teenagers, adolescents, they say that It's the flavors that are really appealing
But
to them.
did they get high when they do this, or what?
Not the nicotine vapes, but now the,
No, I mean
the
with
THC ones. Oh, absolutely. And so what's happened is so I'll give you back up a little bit. So there's the latest youth risk behavior survey out of Emerson Hospital from 2020.
That's in Concord, Mass, what people don't know.
Yeah, it's in Concord, Massachusetts. There's a shift, and this also happened in Colorado. There's a shift of young people using the more high concentrated products. So they're now, the increase in vaping marijuana, so of young people that are, of adolescents, high school age kids, that are vaping nicotine, or that are vaping, I'm sorry, that are vaping, of those that have vaped in the last 30 days, 55% are vaping marijuana, which is a really high number. That's a double-digit increase from 2018 to 2020. So it went from 42% to now 55% are vaping marijuana, of those who are vaping in the past 30 days. And there was a study out 2 years ago that showed of young people or kids, adolescents that are vaping nicotine, they're 3 times more likely to vape, to go on to vape marijuana. So there's definitely a link. Also, the companies that own, that develop the vaping products are, tobacco and marijuana. They're very intricately, they're linked together.
The question, don't they realize it? I mean, if something is minimum, like they used to be, they probably sell more. If in this case, when they find out how many children or young men die from it, it's it doesn't make any sense. These companies, don't they understand if it is too stronger,
they have
it's going to hurt.
advertising money.
Pardon me?
They have advertising money. Don't forget that they got advertising money. They contribute money to politicians. That's how with the cigarettes went on, right? They finally, and you put a warning on it, it still doesn't stop anybody.
Yeah, it's very addictive. The other thing is the higher the THC, so that's the addictive ingredient as well as the psychoactive ingredient. So the higher the THC, the more addicting it is. Just like for opioids, the higher the opioids, the amount of the ingredient of opioids, the more addicting it is. And the same thing with nicotine. The more nicotine that the
put in
tobacco companies put in it, the more addicting it is.
I don't understand. It doesn't. I know what you're saying, but the question is, money. But the question
is money. I mean, that is what it comes down to.
They are losing life. Their life is more important.
The only way to probably do anything is if one of their kids had it, and that was it.
Right.
But and the law always trails everything.
Right.
Yeah, defeat the purpose. You want to make money. Why? Why don't you make it like a 10%? It doesn't really hurt anybody.
Right.
And they make it stronger, and young men, young kids are dying.
You develop your own demand, though, for the product.
Right.
By raising it.
Right.
I feel bad, but people, God gave us the free will, and the people and the government gave you the.
So they put a filter on it.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, go ahead.
So I was going to say, so on the studies that I mentioned that are showing, they were done on even lower THC, like some of them 10, 15 years ago, and they found that, as I mentioned, the suicide ideation was 7-fold for daily users of THC at a very low level, like 2 to 5%. So can you imagine how it could be at 90%, for example? And the other thing I wanted to mention about the vaping is, so vaping is very different than smoking a joint, because when you smoke a joint, you can smell the marijuana, but when you vape a joint,
you don't.
There's no odor. So you could be doing it. Kids are doing it in the classroom when the teacher's not looking. They could be at home doing it. Parents have no idea
what
that they're doing it, right? Because it's very small. I forget if I showed you. I don't think I showed you.
Gino, imagine what goes on at college.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You spend all this money to send a child to be educated so they can get a nice job.
I think Sergeant Schultz runs the place.
Right, this is what a vape pen looks like. So this is probably actually even bigger than it is, but it's something that slips very easily into a backpack, into your pocket, and you just kind of pull it out and take a hit off of it. Yeah, you can see it on the screen. And so parents have no idea. So what's lots of times that are happening is the young people are using them. Yep. Yeah. Young people are using them, and the parents have no idea. And by the time they find out, the kids are already addicted. Right,
yeah,
they're already addicted.
Yeah.
And once you become addicted, it's really hard to stop.
No,
what about some of the parents? Don't they?
Yeah, and sometimes the parents are using, and they don't. Lots of times the parents don't realize the harm to the young people, especially parents that maybe used in college years ago, and it was only 2 to 5%. It was not nearly as harmful as it is now.
But now it is.
Now it's a lot more harmful because the brain is still developing up through the age of 25. So for anyone under 25, really no THC is good for them.
So you're not here to say, you know, revoke the marijuana law and everything. No, you just wanted to make sure that there be like something that is minimum, 10%, maybe 10, 15, whatever, but not to exceed to a point where it goes to 95%.
Right. Right, and what's happening is some of the kids are developing what's called, and actually adults, I actually know of adults that have developed this as well, not just kids, but especially young people like teens and young adults under the age of 25 are developing what's called cannabis-induced psychosis. So they're becoming psychotic, and sometimes it just lasts for a short time, like, you know, a day or two or whatever, and they end up in the emergency room. But sometimes it goes on for months, and it can become permanent. It can become, so what they're finding, the latest studies that I've read is for people who do develop cannabis-induced psychosis, young people, and they continue to use cannabis or marijuana, I use them interchangeably, within 3 to 47% will go on to develop schizophrenia or bipolar disease.
Bipolar, you're up, you're down.
Right. Within 3 to 4 years, and that's a very serious mental illness.
But they have medicines for all
Yeah,
this
they have
stuff.
antipsychotic medications, but there are also a lot of side effects with antipsychotic medications that are very unpleasant for people, you know, and it's something that can be, it's not always avoidable. Some people develop schizophrenia, it has nothing to do with marijuana. Right. But in these cases where it could be avoidable, we're trying to warn people so that kids don't end up in this situation. That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here, because when the parents see you speaking and they say, she's not against it, she just wants to prevent somebody from dying.
Right, or developing a serious mental illness.
You're doing a good deed, and the question is, I hope the parents understand what you say, and if they do use marijuana themselves, they're going to make sure their children, they probably teach them not to use something that's so stronger.
Right. Right, and definitely not until they're 25 anyway.
At least if you save lives, you're doing a good deed. You're not trying to do anything against the marijuana. You just want to make sure they be safe.
Right.
Very simple.
We're trying to raise awareness that people will know, because a lot of parents don't know, and a lot of young people don't know. They're getting the message from the industry that marijuana is medicine, that marijuana is harmless. And unfortunately, nothing could be further from the truth for people that are under 25 years old.
What about the American Medical Association?
Yeah,
what do they do?
They have been speaking out about it and warning that, and so has the American Academy of Pediatrics. So they're aware that this is an issue, and they are speaking out.
But these organizations have money they can spend to have politicians change their mind.
Most doctors do know this, especially pediatricians.
But I'm saying that these organizations have money to try to get politicians to do something or put up commercials on
But wouldn't it be better, like you say, a doctor that understands what's going on, it comes and let the people know, you know what I mean, like she does. She's trying to warning the parents.
I don't think they like doing that.
They don't like doing it.
I think the doctors are also really busy taking care of patients, so...
The organization could be probably able to do it.
Yeah, so the American Medical Association, actually I have a quote right here that I'll read to you from them. This was from April 2021. The American Medical Association President, Susan R. Bailey, Dr. Susan R. Bailey, she says, quote, "In states that have already legalized cannabis, the AMA believes jurisdictions should take steps to regulate the product effectively to protect public health and safety. This includes regulating retail sales, limiting the potency of cannabis extracts and concentrates." And again, that's from the American Medical Association President, Susan R. Bailey, MD, April 2021. So they are speaking out about this. This is an issue.
But you don't know how widespread that was reported by the news media.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm surprised the news doesn't say anything like that.
They're not covering much of it,
If
really.
they can save lives, I mean, they're doing a good deed, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and
I agree.
You have to come as a volunteer, as we call you the mystery individual, because we don't want to even know your name, because I understand that somebody might say, geez, what's she talking about? They don't care. Some of these people don't care. We have enough drug coming from South America. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
We don't need anything,
Yeah.
any other problem.
So one thing I wanted to mention, I wanted to share this sign with you, this Stop Dabbing sign. This is from johnnysambassadors.org.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
So Johnny was the son of Laura and John Stack out in Colorado.
Yeah, yeah.
And Colorado legalized recreational marijuana, I believe, in 2014. I think maybe 2000 was medical marijuana there. And so Johnny started using marijuana at age 14 out in Colorado, right around the time that it became legal.
Right.
And he started using the high concentrate products, and he became addicted and developed psychosis.
Oh my gosh.
And he died by suicide a year and a half ago.
How old was he?
He was 19 in November 2019.
What a life.
So his parents started the organization. It's called johnnysambassadors.org, and it's an excellent website on very informative and all the latest studies and so on about marijuana. And they are doing a walk all over the country. So they started it last year, and they're doing it this year on Sunday, September 19th. There's going to be walks all over the country, and they're called Pound Stop Dabbing is the name of the walk, or So there is going to be one in the Boston area, Metro West Boston. It's going to be in Harvard, Massachusetts.
It takes somebody to die to do that.
Unfortunately. Yeah, it's tragic. And they've turned a tragedy. I mean, they're amazing people, is all I can say. And they've created this amazing website. And they have, every week they have a webinar, 1-hour webinar from an expert from literally from all over the world that informs people on different aspects of marijuana and young people. And they're free, and you can watch them. So if you go to the website, it's called johnnysambassadors.org. Under education, they have webinars, and you can watch past webinars, and then they also have future webinars that you can sign up for. And they're 1-hour webinars, and they're really excellent source of information if parents or anyone wants to get informed on this topic. And they also
all because the marijuana that he was using, it wasn't marijuana, it was all the chemical stuff.
Right. It's really
from 10% to 95%.
It's not natural. There's nothing natural about it. It's basically they take all the pieces, and I don't know if they boil it down isn't the right word, but they create an oil out of these products.
I can't believe it.
A very high concentrated oil, and like could be up to 99%. And so he was using those. He was using dabs, and that's why it's called Stop Dabbing Walk.
19 years old.
Yeah. And this is happening all over the country, not just in Colorado. It's happening all over. And the other thing on this johnnysambassadors.org website, they have anonymous testimonies mostly from parents or family all over the country of these kind of things, talking about what happened to their child. And another thing that's important that I wanted to just bring up is that marijuana for young people, so under the age of 25, interrupts their ability to think, like their cognitive abilities. So, for example, one study showed, and again, this was really low THC, it was like 2 to 5%, so it's an older study, but it showed that for daily users of THC under 17 years old, the odds of them graduating from college are only 2%.
Oh,
so for people who want their kids to go on, to do well in high school and do well in college, they should not be using these products because, unfortunately, it interrupts their cognitive.
Their brain.
Yeah, it interrupts their ability to concentrate and to do really well with their studies. They also develop what's called amotivational syndrome. So they just, kind of the whole idea of the couch potato, where they just kind of feel like laying around on the couch and not really doing anything. That's actually a real thing, and they call it amotivational syndrome. And so that's happening to a lot of adolescents too. So it's not in all cases is it killing people, but it's certainly limiting their ability to be the best person that they could be, to be able to even finish high school, to be able to go on to college and be able to get a degree and get a good job.
Right.
So parents should be concerned for all these aspects, not even
I
just.
had a lot of students. They were just taking up space.
Pardon me?
I had a lot. I taught college, but a lot of students were just taking up space, and I don't mean astronomy.
They were spacey acting?
No, they were just
drugged up?
Why am I here? Well, because somebody said I should be.
Yeah. But, so it does interfere with their ability to concentrate and their ability to do well in school and to work hard. They just kind of feel like when they're really doped up is really the situation.
That's too bad.
They just feel like sitting on the couch and not doing anything, So that's an issue as well. I mean, obviously that's not as serious as dying by suicide, but they're not living the life that they were created to live, really. Not to the best of their ability. So that's another aspect.
I feel bad. They made it legal, and look, they don't understand the consequences.
Yeah, so that's why there are some bills at the State House that we're trying to get passed. One of the other bills is we're asking for a $3 million to raise awareness for an ad, not an ad campaign isn't the right word, but to raise awareness across the state so that parents and young people are aware that this is really something that anyone under the age of 25 shouldn't be using.
You need to have it on TV, not radio.
Yeah,
we're looking,
TV so they can see.
Yeah.
They can understand on radio.
Right.
But then you got to pay for the ads. So.
Right.
Yeah,
but I'm
so
saying,
it's going to be we're looking for $3 million to be put aside to raise awareness. I'm not sure in what capacity
way,
that'll be. I don't know if it'll be on TV or billboards or radio. I don't know what the plan is.
Billboards out. They're too busy.
looking at other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's...
But nevertheless, really have to say we are very proud of you. That what you're doing is maybe you'll be able to educate the parents, because some of these parents, they don't understand. They think their kids, oh, he's an angel. Oh, he's smoking. It's legal. Oh, he's got a marijuana. Oh, that's an entertainment. They don't understand the consequences.
Yeah.
When they die, they say, oh my God, that happened?
Right.
The doctor told me that's what happened?
Right.
But it's too late.
Right. And also they do say now that addiction is really a pediatric disease. In other words, it starts usually before the age of 18. When young people start using addictive substances, their brain is not fully developed, so it gets used to it really quickly, and they develop addiction much quicker than somebody who's, say, 30 or 40 or whatever. Not to say that you couldn't develop addiction at any age, because you could, but you're more susceptible as a adolescent.
You want something for relaxation, they should learn.
Sir, we're under 2 minutes. Do you want to give a wrap-up, young lady?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on the show and letting me have the opportunity to raise awareness about this really important topic. Thank both of you. Thanks to both of you. So, you know, and
wait until I get you later.
You too. Anyway, I hope that people, will learn from this, and I appreciate you letting me talk about it just to raise awareness for people, especially parents. And I think the key is to get to young people in elementary school to let them know that this is actually really dangerous, because once they're in middle school, most kids are actually introduced to these products in middle school, believe it or not, which is only like 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And certainly in high school, they've definitely been introduced to it. So that's too late. So we need parents to be informed so they can start talking to their kids in elementary school, and also teachers and educators and obviously pediatricians and doctors.
Some of the teachers don't do it.
I'm surprised.
That's less harmful to them, though, than it is to young people. So we really are trying to raise awareness so people will talk to young people, like elementary school kids, and say, listen, this product is for somebody over the age of 25. If somebody offers it to you, say no or whatever, and this is why, because it can really interrupt your ability to think and your ability to get a good education and a good job and all of those things.
Did you ever thought of trying to engage as a speaker at the middle school, because they're so young, and the superintendent will get all the middle school children in one big area?
I don't think they'll listen.
They won't listen?
I think they got to go to elementary school, to be honest. I think middle school is already too late.
We have 13 seconds.
Okay.
It's too late?
I think middle school is already too late. I think it's certainly fine to talk to them then, but I think really you should start talking to them in elementary school.
You should get in touch with some superintendent and you just speak because the kids, they speak too fast, they won't understand.
Gino. Okay, I want to thank the mystery guest for being here.
Thank you for coming.
No names,
Thank you
please.
for having me.
We don't know this lady. She came to tell us a story.
I don't know who she is. All right, we'll be back, what?
Next week?
Yeah, with another, I don't know. I think there's 2 shows next week. It just says this week. Notice the correct English, just as. So remember, I don't know what to remember, but there you go. Excellent show, Gino, really. Here's the theme.
It's all in David Cohen. And when it comes to weather, Cohen's smart. As New York as you get, his money's on the Mets, which goes to show that Ed's a Joe who always bets his heart. You'll hear a slick review or 2 from Nicky. And Cantor Something Berg will sing some song. There's weather news and shtick enough to make you sick. You'll be glad you came along.